and it's all your fault. Actually just got complimented in an elevator on the way here by a gentleman who's like, what are you wearing? And I was like, it's Judy. I have to know, what has surprised you the most in this process of developing this fragrance?
The hardest thing was to get it right. And some information, that I got from Lauren and Liza in the beginning was we were able to find out what Judy wore, which is called McGrief, which is a fragrance which is long gone now, but it was very popular in the 40s and 50s. So as a perfumer, that's where I wanted to start. But from the day one, when me and Lorna and Liza had first met, we said, this as a no-brainer, this has to be a unisex fragrance because there's such a massive gay male following, so we can't ignore the fan base. Of course, there's plenty of women that love her, plenty of straight men that love her, and also gay men that love her. So I said the hardest thing to do was to get this fragrance McGrief, which I got from the archives in Paris. They still had it, and it's very, very, very female forward. Like, oh my God, this is like I'm starting with geranium and jasmine, like the most feminine things. So we kind of reversed engineering and went backwards from there. As a benchmark to get to the point where we knew that Judy hopefully would at least love what I created for her, because we started with what she already wore anyway. And Lorna did a little piece of the documentary I did with me as well too, and she was saying that literally the first thing she always remembered her mother doing walking out the door was spraying fragrance on the way out, going out the door before she go to the studio. So that's why we wanted to honor her that way with the fragrance. But it was very, very hard to do because we wanted to make it unisex and also need to be modernized, as well. And that's where we kind of found that balance between what we feel that she would have loved according to her children and her granddaughter. And the questions I asked was, even down to what food she liked. So even in the fragrance itself, I have chocolate notes. So we know that Judy adored and loved chocolate, and we all think we know the story that MGM was not her to eat anything. So it was another thing that was not very fair and very nice, right? So when I asked Lorna specifically, what does your mom love, just like food-wise? She said, well, it really would be comfort food. It would be steak, potatoes, meat, chocolate. She always wanted chocolate. So I made sure I built chocolate into the fragrance as well too. Of course, the Judy Garland Rose, but other things like a lemon and coriander, a tonka bean. So a lot of these kind of more comfort notes that are in the fragrance itself, but also that tends to take it away from the feminine direction, make it more unisex, where both men and women can wear it very easily.
Dot always made sure to have certain things that Judy liked to eat when she knew Judy was coming over. One of them was deviled eggs, and it was really gross. It was I know that. It was you're sure? Oh, okay. It was the inside of the deviled egg. So she would make the deviled egg, get rid of the white, and pack the yellow stuff into these little glass containers. I thought it was the most disgusting thing on the face of the earth. And she and Judy would sit there with crackers and just dish it up. And that and Velveeta cheese. Oh my God. My father was a cheese aficionado. We were always going to cheese stores and getting, So the fact that they would sit there and eat cheese product, it was. And then there was, of course, the famous incident, Joey, with the shepherd's pie. Judy had made a thing of shepherd's pie, and Dot had it. Dot had a big pot on the stove, and I come waltzing in the house, and it's cooking and stuff, and Dot's going, Judy made this for us. You're gonna have stuff. And I took a look, and I said, there's vegetables in it. I'm not eating this stuff. And Doc, but you'll disappoint Judy. I don't care. So, but there was a lot of stuff like that Dot always made sure that there was stuff Judy was comfortable with when she came over.
All right, Vince, you have your next challenge. We now need another fragrance, Deviled Egg by Judy. And the sequel, Velveeta. Okay. So, Over the Rainbow is perhaps the most well-known song of the 20th century. I want to go down the line and ask all of you what emotions that song evokes for you.
well, it's about dreams and hopes and, where you hope you're going to be going or what's going to happen in your life. It's about dreaming and hoping.
For me, it was a sense of security, because I remember every year waiting for The Wizard of Oz to come on, and it would come on. It was always on a Sunday night. Monday at my house was trash day. So I can remember listening to Judy and watching the movie and hearing Over the Rainbow while my dad was outside loading the trash cans onto the metal dolly and rolling them down. But it was a security thing. I felt safe. So I guess safety, that would be it.
I think just by like watching her in the scene, for me now as an adult, I just see like almost like pure innocence. Like she was not, she was so happy to be there to get the role, and she beat out Shirley Temple and a couple other people, right, on how she got the role. But I just see like just a young, happy, woman that has not been affected yet, by anything that these studios, did to her, that she talks about openly later in her career. It's just like watching a pure, angelic soul innocence. Yeah, when I see it.
I just thought about somebody almost lost me. I knew it was her signature song. She would sing that song at the end of every concert that she did, and I saw a lot of them. So I knew every time I heard that song it was at the end, and the next day would be another concert. But just hearing that, hearing her voice, hearing her sing that, I used to think back as a kid. It all started with Wizard of Oz. So that's good.
I think it's really interesting that it's almost like metaphoric for her life, how it turned out. So I think that's really interesting, and it's almost like she feels like she almost knew, even though she didn't. I don't know when she's singing, and you can really see her emotions going, and I think that, it's about hope and your dreams and, your imagination and where life can take you. But, I think it's really interesting that she gets really serious about it, though, when people talk about Over the Rainbow and stuff, when you see interviews with it, like, how are you singing that song? And she's very quick to, protect it and say, oh, that's the best song in the entire world. So I know how special it was to her, and I give props to anyone who tries to sing that song, because that's intimidating and it doesn't really sound right, because that song was really written for her, tailored for her voice. And thank God they didn't take it out of the movie like they were going to. They almost cut that song, so thank God they did it. But yeah, I think it's very parallel with how her life turned out, and it was really meant for her.
Well, I think for me, Over the Rainbow is that there's always a wonderful place to go to when you're not feeling well or things are going badly. Pick a beautiful place. That there's always a place where that rainbow is, like a beautiful park, and enjoy yourself, and then things will be so much better. That's sort of what it is to me, I think.
Teamwork right here. What do each of you think is Judy's enduring legacy?
Well, I think people definitely relate to her vulnerability and her resilience, and she kept going no matter what. And her characterizations in her movies, they're always hopeful and positive, and much of her music is too. I think she's an inspiration for performers, someone to emulate or to study for performing. And I think it's just, I think people can really relate to her. I think that's why she endures.
I think it's her immense talent, her ability to go from hot to cold immediately. I'm thinking of some of her performances on her concerts, her TV shows. She would do an upbeat song and then she would change over within a few seconds and her whole demeanor would change as she melted into whatever she had to be to get that other song. I mean, I don't know if you've all seen the TV show, but look at her performance of Old Man River. It's astounding. And As Long as He Needs Me, these are incredible pieces of work and nobody could equal them.
Yeah, I think we're probably all going to say the same thing. Probably like Margaret was saying, the range is just unbelievable. And I can't think of anybody either out there chatting. I'm trying to think, who would you? There really is nobody else that you can really compare her to. And even again, just back to the stories that I've heard from Lorna and Joey and Eliza with about specifically, I was thinking about The Man That Got Away, A Star Is Born, where you were saying that she just did it over and over and over and over and over and over again to do the scene, and like how in God's name could this woman keep doing this intensity of this song and the emotion every take? And I think it was dozens of takes, I believe, and she just did it over and over again. So it's just, I don't think there's anybody alive or even in the past, like the third, I can think of.
I would say a lady who did so much for the world and did look at all she accomplished. She had 3 beautiful children, and children came from those children. So it's like that's her legacy. That she was an amazing person, and you couldn't fool her because she knew. It was like she looked at you and go, "What?" Excuse me? So she knew. She was very smart. I think I just miss her a lot. So, anyway.
I think I'm gonna give my perspective as a family member for her legacy, because that's just what I think is important as well. And she is like an inspiration just in our family. So she gives me strength. I think her show must go on mentality is absolutely real. I think when things that get hard and life is, smooth and easy, said no one ever, and things are always gonna come up. And I know that I can, because I know it's like in me, and it's like in my DNA to just keep going forward and look at my mom, look at my aunt, look at my uncle. I think she taught our family to be kind to people, to really, really be kind, and she loved her fans. And, not everybody gives their fans the type of attention and that she did, and I think that's why so many people love her. But to always, laugh at yourself. You have to have the ability to laugh at yourself, and humor is such a staple in our family. And so all these things have been passed down and will continue. And I think, her family is the legacy for me.
Well, I think that sometimes if Judy was going through some troubles, getting up on stage and seeing her fans, she loved her fans, they were her friends, and then she felt so much better. She was bringing joy to her friends who may be going through some hard times themselves, and that would bring her joy, so then everybody would be happy that evening. She would bring happiness that night, and people would forget their troubles. And I think that was something that she had within herself. And I know that to Judy, she loved her fans, and they were her friends, so she never felt alone. Especially on stage, she never felt alone. So that was.
lifelong Judy fan. She has changed my life for good, and we never felt alone either watching her films. And I think that's why she identifies with everyone, why the LGBTQIA+ community has found such comfort and strength in her performances. And I just want to say thank you for sharing that legacy tonight. Thank you so much.